I'm about to eat some food at the end of the day. Um, Devin Haney punches a lot harder than a lot of people know. You know, was watching at a video that was posted sometime in 2019 with Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. They were both on the zone, and they went up to a punching machine, and Ryan Garcia threw, first of all, he threw a left hand at the machine. And then Devin Haney, he threw a right hand at the machine, and then Garcia threw a right hand at the machine. But you know what's the interesting thing? Uh, the guy who punched harder was Devin Haney. And Ryan's a knockout artist. That was 3 years ago. Devin's much bigger than he was 3 years ago, much taller. And I can tell you right now, Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney are the two biggest lightweights in the lightweight division. There's nobody bigger than them. Robert Easter used to be in the division. He was too dry. I think he moved up to super lightweight. So the two biggest lightweights in the lightweight division, as it is right now, is Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. I want to say something. Hope you guys understand me. Devin was knocking out guys left, right, and center in sparring in preparation for the Kambosos fight. Went to Australia, was knocking out guys. Guys, they were replacing guys like flies. Okay? But I listened to his father say a specific instruction to him, and I also heard Zab Judah's father, Yoel Judah, say that Devin needed to keep it simple in this fight. And his father specifically gave him an instruction in the fight. He said, don't try and load up on nothing. He said, just shoot your shots and stick them with the jab. I remember his father giving him that instruction. I think it was in the 6th round or whatever. And if all of you guys out there thought that Devin could have done more, it's because he could have, but they kept it simple for that fight. And, Kambosos is a guy, he can counter really quickly. And you don't want to be just in there trading with Kambosos. They had him disciplined, they had him under control, and they wanted to keep it that way. They decided not to do extra. They didn't want to go doing extra stuff and then make the fight more complicated than it needed to be. But the point I'm making is, a lot of people think that Devin can't punch. I don't know where they got that idea from, that he can't punch. He's not a one-hitter quitter, even though he's dropped guys with one punch and he's knocked out guys with one punch. He doesn't have a whole bunch of KOs on his resume, because Devin more depends on his boxing than he depends on his power. Right? He uses the sweet science. He depends on his boxing more than his power. Another fighter who is growing into their power as well, but they're depending on their boxing more than their power, is Shakur Stevenson. Okay, Shakur has power as well. We saw him drop Oscar Valdez, so he has power, but he doesn't depend on his power. And that will order very well for these fighters later on in their careers when their power does come, like Terrence Crawford. When Terrence Crawford's power started to show up, he was stopping fools left, right, and center, but it wasn't his power that was doing it, it was his boxing. Understand the difference. You can start stopping people, but you're not dependent on you stopping people, because all you used to do is box. So you depend on your boxing to stop people and not your power. Those are two different things. And Devin Haney is a huge lightweight, so is Ryan Garcia. And I do believe that Devin will grow into his power. He's only 23 years of age. He's still very young, but you could see that he's getting bigger and stronger, and he's not going to be able to stay at lightweight for much longer. I think I give Devin about 2, 3 more fights. So if so many, I think by 2024 he will be out of the division already. He may be out of the division sometime next year. You never know. It depends on how his body can handle it, whether he'll be moving out the division or not. So far, he's been able to make weight, but he's a huge lightweight, which leads me to this very interesting discussion. It's a very interesting discussion. And when you look at Devin and you compare Devin to Cambosis, he looked like a hulking giant over Cambosis. Cambosis is looking to have a rematch with Devin, but be honest with you, I really don't see Cambosis just bullying Devin or pushing him around the ring. I just don't see that happening. That's the strategy they're arguing that Cambosis needed to have. He needed to be more aggressive. He needed to bully Devin. Devin's like almost twice Cambosis' size, man. Have you guys seen how big Devin is? It's huge. And he's still growing. He's only 23. He hasn't finished growing. So I just think that is a big, big mistake on Cambosis' style. On Cambosis's, you know, it would be a big mistake for Cambosis to be more aggressive, because I think he'll get stopped by Devin. Devin's too big for him. He's just way too big for him. Um, Lomachenko's a small guy. Lomachenko's not a lightweight, really. He's a blown up super featherweight. You know, I think Devin's too big for Lomachenko. I think the guy who gives Devin the most problems is Ryan. Ryan's not as good a boxer as Devin is, but Ryan has the length and the size to be competitive with Devin. I'm going to say this. It's going to sound controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway. Smash the like button if you like what I'm saying. I think Devin's too big for Tank. I truly believe Devin's too big for Tank. You know. And I just don't think Tank will knock out Devin. I just don't think so. Tank did not knock out uh he did not knock out what's the kid's name? He didn't knock out Pitbull. Didn't knock out Pitbull Cruz. Right? And Pitbull is a top 10 lightweight. He knocked out Gamboa, but Gamboa wasn't a top 10 lightweight. Okay? And Gamboa was old as hell. He knocked out Mario Barrios, who was a top 10 super lightweight, yes. But Mario Barrios don't have the speed, the cat-like reflexes, the quickness, the sharpness for Tank to be able to beat him. To beat like Devin or Ryan. And Mario Barrios' jab was giving Tank problems, right? Wasn't his jab giving Tank problems? I don't know, man. I don't know if Tank can deal with a Devin Haney or with a Ryan Garcia. Those are big guys, and they can take a punch, right? They actually can take a punch because they're big guys. Once they don't get weight drained, and have to move up to 140, those guys are the biggest lightweights in the division. And they know how to box. And I'm trying to say this to people so you understand. If you fall into the trap that you think Devin can't punch just because he's boxing guys mostly and he's not putting everything into his punches, I think somebody gonna get knocked out because Devin is a trap waiting to be sprung. He's not focused on trying to knock guys out, but if he ends up boxing and his power, he starts to come into his man strength and his power starts to be seen, he's gonna stop guys. And he's not even trying to stop him. He's just doing the right thing. He's going to stop them because they're going to run right into his punches because they're not going to respect his punching power, right? And so I just think that you know, Devin's a bigger guy than Floyd. You look at Devin's frame. Devin said he might go up to and just kind of touch down into 154. I think Devin can go beyond 154. I think Devin can go to middleweight. When all is said and done, he can end his career at middleweight. I think because his frame is he's much bigger than Floyd. I don't even think Devin is 5'8". They registered him as 5'8". Cambosis is 5'9". He's significantly taller than Cambosis, which means he's either 5'10", and his reach is probably longer than 72 inches. So I'm telling you, he is a big lightweight, and so is Ryan. I think Devin has a little bit better. I think he has better boxing and better boxing pedigree, better boxing IQ. Ryan's more dependent on his left hook too much, kind of like Oscar De La Hoya. You know, he has a good right hand as well. He has good, solid power, but you know, he still has difficulty finding his target and stuff. He's still up and coming. But this fight here with Fortuna should be a good fight for him. I think he might get a sensational knockout in this fight as well, so it should be a good fight for him. But you know, Ryan threw some shade at Devin, saying it was a boring fight. Devin threw back shade at Ryan, saying that Ryan ain't facing nobody, and he looked like he want to face anybody. But ultimately, in the end, those two, if they face each other, it would be very intriguing. And Ryan can fight; he can box. But I'm just saying, just looking at their size, these Ryan and Devin. Now Ryan, you could tell Ryan's on a special diet, and Devin's on a special diet with dietitians because those guys they rehydrate to some interesting weights, man. I mean, Dev looked twice the size, I tell you, of Gambosis. Twice the size of Cambosis. He looked much bigger than Cambosis. And Devin, he looked like he grew because he wasn't always that big. And it looks like Tank's going to be a small guy compared to Devin. He's going to be tiny. Tank's like, what, 5'5", 5'6"? So that's interesting. It's really interesting. And Lomachenko's a small guy. We all know that. So, Teofimo Lopez is not a tall guy. He's compact, but he's not tall. Dev is much taller than Teo, you know, and so is Ryan. So it's very interesting. It's very intriguing, very interesting looking at those dynamics. Shakur is also filling out. Once upon a time, Shakur was actually taller than Dev. Dev is now taller than Shakur. He's much bigger than Shakur. So I'm just saying, size-wise, you match him up. Lomachenko versus Dev or Tank. Even when Lomachenko matched up with Teo was significantly bigger than Lomachenko. You know, and Linares is a big, long, rangy guy, lanky kind of long guy, but Dev looked bigger than Linares. He looks bigger than Linares now. So I mean, Dev has gotten a lot bigger, and I just think that dynamic, if he can somehow maintain his size in that division, I don't know how much longer he can stay in the division, but because he was struggling before, now with a dietitian he could stay there probably a little bit longer. But if he can stay at 135 for a little bit longer, um, hopefully maybe an extra year. So from now till the end of 2023, or maybe the middle of 2023, he could probably hang around. I don't think he could be able to stay in the division too much longer because I think he's too big. He's a tremendously big lightweight, and he's growing all the time. So they may have to he may have to come out of the division very soon. He may have a first defense. He may have the Lomachenko fight, and then he might have to move up to 140. So he may not face Tank at 135. That fight might not happen. They might have to fight at 140, but we'll see. And that's if, Tank is not a big guy. He's not a big guy. So Tank probably, I think Tank tops out between one. I think he can go down to 130. I think he can go up to 140. I don't think. I mean, he'd be pushing it trying to go to 147. A 5'5", 5'6" guy at 147. That's kind of like Pacquiao like kind of stuff he's trying to do. And who's he gonna be fighting? He can't take on Errol Spence. He can't take on the top guys at 147. He can't take on Terrence Crawford. He's too small. Them guys would dog walk his ass. You know what I mean? Keith Thurman, vulnerable to the body, but Keith's a big dude. Those guys are much bigger. I don't really see Tank being an elite 147 pounder. I see him probably fighting at 140, 130, 135. I really can't, because he's not gonna grow no more. That's it. He maxed out. He topped out. That's what Tank is. That's his size. So I really don't see Tank. Maybe he touched down 147, grab a belt, and dip back down to 140. I don't see him really doing much more than that. He's not that big. He's not Devin big. He's not Ryan big. Those guys are big guys. Ryan probably can go all the way up to 160 easy. You make 160 easy. By the end of his career, he's campaigning at 160. Dev probably the same thing. Those are big guys. I wouldn't be surprised. Dev's like right now he's about 5'10" with probably a 73-inch reach, like Ryan, or a 72.5-inch reach. I wouldn't be surprised Dev has gotten longer. He looks bigger. He looks physically bigger. So I'm just thinking that Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, Ryan still got a ways to go to get into a position where he could actually. He wasn't really in a hustle to face Dev to start with, but at least get himself in a position where he could be one of the top guys. And maybe Ryan gets the Tank fight. Maybe he doesn't. We'll see. But if Tank won that fight, he gonna get it. It's up to Tank and Mayweather Promotions to sit down with Ryan and with the other parties and see if they can make that deal happen. Could that be a big fight? Anyways, I just want to bring that up because I was looking at this. I was looking at a lot of things and I saw that Devin Haney, man, y'all sleeping on the dude. But we'll see what happens with him and with his career. And we'll see what happens with Lomachenko. We're praying for the people in Ukraine. And it's still rough over there. They had a little bit of success, but it's pretty critical now, so we'll see what happens. Catch you guys later. I'm what you need. Peace.